So they lost to me in the domain of like human abuse and stuff that's way to like invading the person's privacy to go off and like somewhat harm the person with the intent to harm the individual. What's up? So because they committed to an act that's way to like I feel, yeah, that's way to like not harming the person, having probable cause to go off and like someone create a administration process. That's way to treating the person like a human being without harming the person. So they brought a flawed psychology or intelligence in there. That's way to like rage, murderous intent. Yeah, with hatred in there that leads to so many errors and stuff like. Yeah, to go off and be biased inside the person's private affairs because of the fact that if you're fully confident of your skill and your talent to be able to use the admin process to be able to create a case and prosecute into that case itself and stuff, most likely you go off and be very calm on the space and stuff, and then be able to like somewhat prosecute. Yeah, and it's like you just go off to the bank and you put your signature on a piece of paper. That's how easy. Yeah, that your confidence should have been with your ability and your skill, but instead they come into an act that's ready to like somewhat harming the person, and coming in to like go off and make the person miserable intentionally. Yeah, and including being manic. That's how. So by the time I recorded all that and then eventually went on to log it, yeah, I couldn't understand how easy that these people still think that they'll stand a chance against me inside of a cause with any type of case whatsoever. That's how. By the time they try to go off and like prosecute me for like anything that's related to like somewhat sabotaging the person's life and like using a system that's related to like the person getting funds from the government like EBT, welfare and stuff, and then try to complain that the person is like being malaligned with like stuff that's related to vices. As an adult male, he's in the strip club, and then all of a sudden because he's on the EBT or something like that, yeah, he should not be in the strip club. It's like there's a formal process for that you call a courthouse or something. You submit your complaint, and then eventually in there they're gonna summon the person into an administrative process, and they're gonna cut the funds from the person legitimately without harming the person or something. So just like a little child, like little boy you are, I took off and explained to you that because of the fact that you had the intent to harm the person before you can prosecute or do the administrative process that was so simple as paperwork itself or something, yeah, to then go off and like process paperwork. You decide to go off and throw the paperwork into the trash away, hop into your car and go off and put a camera on, and then record yourself being the punisher on the space here, and then using the system to go off and invade the person's privacy, go inside the person's home with stalkers and individuals that'll go off and like move chemicals on the space here, and then record the person into his private digital communication system, and we are complaining that the hotel that he's in is being fumigated with chemicals that's making him feel uncomfortable on the space here, and then describing what these people were doing the entire time while you're going off to enrich yourself with like private research that you're returning back into a field of psychology to go off and try to help study males that are watching pornography, males that are engaged with like sex workers. Yeah, the psychology of males under some amount of stress, like stuff that's way to like giving feedback into like an experiment that makes it back inside of domain warfare for psychological research, or like different type of like chemicals that can go off and be used to control a population or be used to harm a group of people on a space on. Yeah, and then somehow use different techniques to go off and continuously over time. That stuff always made it back into a financial system. Yeah, the same way that the Navy wanted to try to use the nuclear reactor to then go off and try to mine cryptocurrency on a special up. Yeah, there's continuously over time. I had that group who were continuously, for odd reasons, having a conflict of interest with a fellow badge that might be related to the Justice Department or something, go off and help themselves, enrich themselves first, while they go off to try to intentionally harm the person. Yeah, while they had easy access to an administrative process that's related to paperwork, which makes no sense whatsoever. Why would you go off and like complain about stuff that's related to your money to a federal system that has a system, the IRS, that can forward a letter to me to the mail that tell me to show up inside a court, so go to prison if I don't pay this money over here, or if I don't show up in that court to go off and answer to that judge over here, where they have my phone number on hand that never changed over the last 2 decades or so. Yeah, with my emails. Yeah, they could reach out to me too. Reach out to me. So someone, when they got my email and eventually my phone number, they decide. Yeah, and while I'm always within sight and range of them, some of the detectives and the groups and stuff like, they decide to go off and go to a different route that's way to harming the person, which means it's a route that's way to like break inside your car by breaking your window over there or something, and then go off to like somewhat stab your tire or something like that. And then somewhere where they record themselves doing so, and they tell everybody what they did in the name of God, like their frustration and the morality, like unification and stuff like. They expected me to lose inside of a car after doing all that. And I'm like, yo, dude, can you hurry up so I could slap the crap out of you with my penis or something, with my balls? I could ball slap you if I'm a judge and like a jury. Yeah, can you hurry up and take that L over here for me? Yeah, because I said, I said the career you put in front of the work that I have to go off and do, that makes me billions of dollars, and my new technology system that allow me to have fun. Instead of driving a car on the ground, I could go off and move the clutches to then go off and take off and skip the entire highway. I'm flying to the sky and go invisible. I got some chick over here that's topless with like pierced nipple inside my car over here. Yeah, where she got like the ice cream or the butterscotch cake from like California pizza chicken dripping all over her titties and stuff. Yeah, it's why she had baby all the stuff over her. So, yeah, and she said, I don't know, man. 21st century stuff, man. Yeah, somewhere that's supposed to be life. Yeah, for most males around the world. What's up? Yeah, I get like a whole set of like I don't know who these people are, the species, their race, their gender, like their size and stuff like that. But I just put them into a category that start with L for lame. I just put them into the lame category where you say congrats for being lame. That's how, and just call them lames. That's whatever they are. As like a thing with a brain. That's how I just call them lame. That's how I said. I don't know, man. The lames. Hurry up and go off and become a lame in front of me. It's on the cars. So now I could go off and take a piss on the newspaper that's going to publish the article that you lost to me in the cars and you settle with me. Just take a piss of it because the amount of hatred that I had against you for surviving you. And that intent to kill me inside Thailand over here without ever explaining nothing to me, and while we're mocking the person. Yeah, at least if you had made a mistake. Yeah, at least if you had made a mistake or something, and you were willing to kill the person to poison or something. Yeah, at least do so without mocking the person, ridiculing the person, then helping yourself go off like boasting that you're superior than. Also, I was like, wow. I was like, yo, bring me that head inside the car so I could go off and like. Yeah, take a piss on that newspaper over here after I win that case. Now you understand why there's bad blood in between us. I was like, why you understand why I curse all these folks? Why you understand why I'm so disrespectful? Why you understand why my attitude is that high with my ego? I was like, my ego is built off of the confidence that I have for like having an invisible flying car. I was like, yeah, by being able to build it, all that stuff like that. I was like, now you understand why is it that I'm that mean and that rude? I was like, because I had to go off and like survive being poisoned for like 3 years directly inside of a spot that was supposed to be a vacation spot for me, while I was supposed to be with my tech company over there that's worth millions and billions of dollars on, and not go off and become somebody else, experiment inside of a crappy ass online TV streaming site. Yeah, that barely get any views around the space here. The only reason why people are here is because I'm an interesting person that's very, very fascinating. Yeah, that means I'm fucking special into my office specifically. And that you over there, apparently you're writing off my story over there. Well, I'm not even a star. No, I'm not even famous. So I'm like, how the hell do I get the fame? Yeah, before I can become rich or even make something out of myself. Yeah, it's a big solution because especially some are already much more popular than you over there that already had the head start. Yeah, and I'm not even on contract willingly. So these people literally they break their neck and their law to go off and try to follow me obsessively to go and go off and like I don't know, obtain my fame or something like that. While I go off and like I found a space to go off and live like a neat or something like as if I want to be isolated, and they still find time to go off and put me into a TV. I was like, what the hell? I was like, oh my god! So just give me the case over here. Go off and collect my money from the government again for free in an easy fashion. Yeah, that's like the government lose to me automatically because it's special, and then someone issue me my money. As simple as tapping this card away. So, yeah, at the age early age before I can turn 40, and then which is that's something allow me to go off and eat better than the rest of the population. Wow, man. Yeah, while I go off and finish a project over here, that allow me to even eat better than the rich people who are on the space. So I said, yeah, I didn't ask to be that man over here. I didn't ask to wake up as a black male, age 33, and then go off and I go like, wow. Yeah, I can go off and work in the domain of computer science, work with some methodology, a new technology and system, or hardware, to then go off and redesign physics for certain components on some mechanical system, and then go off and take over a market of a system that one to go off and redesign my passport, allow it to have a chip in there, yeah, that can be read by an NFC system that's on a vending machine across the space, and go like, wow, with my vision over here. Yeah, I see the entire market on like almost any item that I have to touch around the space here. So I get to make $1. Yeah, I get to make $1 on almost every item that has already been replicated by the billions across the space. So and that gave me a small percentage to then go off and become rich and wealthy, of course, especially, yeah, and then while having an invisible car or with an invisible robots that can go off and detect weapons, of course, especially. That's how I decided to wake up in the year 2021, age 33, to go off and quickly jump on that platform and push out the software and the hardware as being first around, especially to go off and teach other human beings, yeah, the possibility to go off and be engineers, to go off and like animate stuff. Yeah, without the drawback that the old engineers had because of the fact that they couldn't find a system to go off and be able to transmit enough energy across the systems over here that didn't require big cables to continuously power it up around the space due to the limitation of powered systems with the battery system that they had that were like 3, 4, 5 volts, 9 volts, all sorts of stuff on laptop. Yeah, so I found a way to go off and redesign some stuff with new methodology and new system, and then go off and like jump into the market over here myself. And that's how I decided to wake up as a black male in America over here, and then also volunteer for the service in Ukraine. Yeah, and then eventually, I don't know, somewhere somebody else decided to wake up as a hater, and they try to turn the person into a cripple, try to go off and like sabotage the war in Ukraine, try to go off and like help themselves first in the space where to try to go off and be like, well, I was born first, or I sound like that. I'm like in the government, I'm the boss. I should be able to tell you what to do specifically. So I was like, yo, the story is here for you. That's how I'm no longer there. I'm in this space where the guy is still here. Yeah, the dude is still here. So I'm like, oh my God. I said, how is that legal in America? So I don't know. I filed the FBI report a long time ago. So apparently it's an internal thing over here where the justice system over here, yeah, pretends to go off and represent justice itself. It goes off and abuse the law, yeah, to help itself help itself pay its bill. Yeah, and go off and like make itself happy with money, of course, especially that. Yeah, so now I have a scumbag criminal group over here that's pretending to be about government system over here. So not even following the passion of morality inside of their own system. So the minute they fail the morality test, that's where to like not enriching themselves or benefiting themselves while using the system resource that it takes into a foundation. That's where to go to honor itself. For what some of the people want to believe into, it could never win the ideology war against me specifically because I have too many nerds and too many people that believe in like moral character that's related to not violating people's rights and respecting that ideology itself. Because the fact that the protection of people's private information start with somebody that's willing to like not go off and abuse that power to then go off and look at the person's private information and then go off and enrich themselves in the process. If we had that, then apparently my system over here would not have a quality. That's way to like maintaining privacy or someone respecting people's right on the space here. Every hospital would be a scumbag hospital that's like taking advantage of people, putting fake organs into them, not going off to do proper procedure across the space, going off to like somewhat focus on money first. So the entire hospital system will go off and turn into a nightmare. That's why to a meat factory on the space. So apparently I have good moral characters around the space where that's somewhat sustained to ideology and not violating HIPAA on the space to go off and like benefit themselves or gossip about people on the space. Yeah, and that's what allowed me to beat the crap out of that dude into a morality for a jury and a judge specifically because of the fact that I will never use that system. That comes with like a restriction and a punishment. That's way to like punishing people for abusing their authority, to then go off and stalk and harass somebody and kill them in the process, and then someone make them suffer. Yeah, so it was that mentality that they use against me as a hive. Yeah, that lost to me, that will lose to me inside of a course, and will lose to me. Yeah, once I finish my company and my project. So I said I was naturally chosen to like stand on top of you naturally across the space by just maintaining my psychology, refusing everything that you were saying about any type of morality across the space on outside, and showcasing to you that as a human being with free will, I have the right to reject any ideology that I don't want to listen to if I don't want to. By just simply closing my door over there and then letting the advertisement paper stack outside the door over there that I don't have to take care of, nothing like that. Yeah, because I didn't put it there. I don't want it. So I said no soliciting on my property over there, private property. And by the time I'm done with it, I don't have to communicate with nobody from this church over there. I don't have to communicate with nobody from this group over there. I don't have to go off and buy nobody's product. I don't have to turn on the TV to go off and watch anything. I don't have to educate myself on nothing whatsoever. I could just go off and live life, breathe, drink water, eat, get paid around the space. I just go off and live my life. That was what George Washington, the first over here with the first army in the United States over there, it gave me as a right as an American way to go off and live and survive through like whatever tribulation the science that we're facing right now. So I said I live in America and stuff like that. So I expect the American way around the space and not Oriental way. Yeah, of course, especially because I Oriental way, I probably didn't supersede my core house, not my military system, not the ideology of my core house, or my laws around the space as I said. I mean, somewhere within a technicality, that's not even a technicality, I always get to win the case because of the fact that that system abused me before it could bring me in handcuffs and make me see a judge. So I always get to like always have the moral ground. That's all. So I told you, if they want that case, yeah, just constantly to be rich already. That's all. I'm begging them to go off and make that case for me. I'm literally lying on my phone over here, going off to claim that I'm a fraud to the veteran affairs system. Yeah, and if the feds were listening, which it should not have been, or stuff like that, which I don't know, I just said that randomly or something, then most likely go ahead and prosecute the case so we could move to our course, like whatever fucking idiots you want to make into, and then we'll not be talking about nothing that's related to like fraud. Or we'll be talking about, torture and assault that was done to the person. And that's what we'll be talking about inside our class. And eventually from then on, I get to collect my millions of dollars based off bias. So like we won't discuss the psychology, we'll let you in there. I won't go off and explore your phone. If you find any racist stuff inside that space, there's someone that they explore my phone without my consent, I'm pretty sure I'm going to find a racist chat room somewhere that I'm going to be connected to, that's going to be related to that case itself. And the minute we find racism in there, that's related to my skin color. I'm racist. Yeah, underneath the First Amendment, that's all. And the Constitution will allow me to be racist based on my roots over here. I like slavery. I'm being discriminated upon. I'm almost being killed by white supremacists. That left me with a bad experience against white people, specifically on South. So that allowed me to go off and hate a certain type of group. I'll be racist under the other group over here. That might want to go off and like strike suicide bombs on like black children in Africa just so they could enrich themselves with certain minds and stuff, and then eventually use that wealth to then go off and build data centers with hotels, real estates around the space, and then fund it right back into like different corporations, different groups and that. So I say I have my right to be racist as a black male that's being enslaved, to my DNA over here. After I was kidnapped from Africa, and then eventually the discrimination that I faced throughout the Jim Crow era, and then eventually the discrimination that I faced over the cyber computer virus that they install. That's way to eugenics. That's meant to go off and like somewhat prey on human beings, as like the earliest model of an AI system that acts as a hive and to multiple servers that continue uploading a message that's way to eugenics over the cyberspace area, and a message that's way to hate on black folks, targeting them around the space area and encouraging terrorism against black people for just being black, go off to like kill them in the process because of the fact that for odd reason black people don't have no plot to go off and take over the world, or cause all sorts of stuff like that. So somewhere there's a virus online that the white supremacists created. That's a visual. So you could reference it off the techniques that's related to like flashing the screen, and then be able to send a signal to the brain, to the eyeball, to be able to somewhat shut down the body, make it go into like an emergency mode. That's related to like seizures and stuff like that. So to that glitch over here, that's related to like a signal that was compatible with the human graphic system. To electromagnetism, a form of energy. The human, his eyeball. His brain got hacked by another energy system over here. That made him go into like a survival mode that he called a seizure that could have killed him in the process with him, and somewhat jammed up his breathing system. Other parts that's critical to his space, including his heart, and kill him in the process. Was exploited to a system that's related to like epilepsy domain, to the domain of light. To be able to somewhat beam information inside of his head. That somewhat unpack a program that somewhat trigger his response within his rage system. So somewhere they have a visual system, the same way that you're able to hack the brain with seizures or something, epilepsy or visuals or something. There's a system inside the human graphical system over here that they wrote a special computer program for, that somewhat tap into the rage domain of the humanity itself, and then leads the human being over here to go off and become a violent human being that will go off and grab a weapon and engage into killing on the space of. And that was something that was intentionally created by the rage group over there that was raging, that their girlfriends or their wives were chasing after football players that carry off cups that are golden around the space with like $1 million contract around the space. So somewhere where the black man over here got to inherit a piece of freedom around the space. And some of the white man's daughter over here was falling under the domain of poverty and being stigmatized for being fat. And not being a proper 7 foot tall, properly built DNA monster over here with blonde hair that'll go off and do backflips genetically and so on. his daughter started to like follow some of the his daughter started to follow some of the other groups that succeeded inside the domain over here, what's up, and wanted to survive and have started to have mixed kids, what's up. So by the time his daughter over here was like a showgirl that was meant to go off and go with this white elite group over here that was playing football, she decided to instead go off and dance inside of a club because they had a different team, and she learned how to twerk. The twerking was like too complex for like the other person over here that didn't have the footwork or like the gymnastics to go off and do that type of like dance around the space. That made it fun for her to go off and play basketball in the park, and I got allowed to play basketball of a white female, like a bigger shape that her own race wanted to discriminate against because of the fact that she decided to have a tattoo. So all of a sudden she found a group of misfit that accepted her as a human being and then make it comfortable for her around the space a lot. And then next thing you know, she decided to go off and like have a baby around the space a lot. So then eventually the rage group over there that rage about stuff that's related to like black people, the groups also decided to put an online virus that's related to visuals that get inside your brain, and it's so ruthless that it does not discriminate against children at all. So your black child would have gone over the cyberspace over here because he didn't develop a brain. Yeah, would have been infected by that virus, go off and grab a gun, come into a mass shooting over outside. And then eventually, the message that the white supremacist would have told your kid over here is that he's like a monkey. He didn't get to evolve properly to go off and be sentient, to go off and learn the fact that computer science exists, all sorts of other stuff on top. And because of the fact that he was not sentient, he didn't have the ability to go off and like somewhat have the intelligence to know what type of machine system he was dealing with that was hypnotizing him all across the space that he deserved to die and be eradicated and be euthanized around the space because of the fact that he's like a pest. He's like half human and like a half like ape or something like that. That's not on the level of like a human being. That's like from a different species that's like superior, 7 foot tall, blonde eye, blue ears, not blue hair or something. His blue ears like spoke or something. And then someone is an alien, and he decided that the fate of that thing over there that's grotesque, that's like an animal, that's like your black child, should be eradicated, and I should at least go off and kill you in the process and pick up his gun because of the fact that he was able to write a computer program to send a psychic message and psychically manipulate your child across the space or something to then go off and kill other black people across the space, like and then go off and create a crack pandemic or something, and then accelerate the violence, so that the white supremacy group over there can go off and take this sample, and then go off and argue with the other civilization or population that these people over there, are ugly, they're evil, they're bad, they might be a threat to our civilization across the space or something. So we should be able to eradicate the black folks, because of the fact that I put a cyber virus across the space here, and then Richard I want to like I put a cyber virus that your child cannot defend against because of the fact that he didn't develop the intelligence. So he's being called a little black monkey. So the scientists over here flash a beam inside of his head that allow him to go off and kill into a mad rage everybody around the space outside. So now you need to find a purpose to eradicate the little monkey across the space outside. Yeah, so somewhere that's where I get to like be mean across the space as a young black man over here that's trying to build his company. That's what billions of dollars around the space, just so he could have his invisible flying car and his robotic system around the space outside. So by the time I had the white supremacists try to put me inside a poison room, eradicate me, euthanize me around the space outside, and then someone cause multiple problems for me around the space outside. Yeah, take my money, all sorts of stuff off top, and try to incarcerate me falsely around the space outside. Yeah, so I said by the end of the day, by the time the white supremacists tried to claim that he was so much better than me, he tried to euthanize me around the space here, and that he was going out to like take money away from me, and he was able to buy all sorts of stuff that's related to like copying and replicating stuff around the space a lot with the groups, all sorts of stuff that's related to like showcasing superiority and stuff. Yeah, and then he almost killed me in the process, and then I survived that, and then he tried to like humiliate me, cock me across the space and stuff. Try to go off and claim that because he might be, I don't know, government scam, all sorts of stuff from top myself. That's way to like displaying superiority, and that I'm broke, all that stuff from top myself, and that I should be miserable. He's gonna put me in the street being homeless. And while I be in the prison, he's gonna torture me, all that stuff from myself. So because of the fact that because of the fact that I keep a private diary on my phone over here. Yeah, the dumbass villain over here decided to go off and publish my private diary in front of public, but not in front of cars. Because I said by the time we're making inside cars, the public he can get, because the public have a different psychology on space around, and they have a different type of intelligence. The public might be ghetto, they might be somewhat hood, thuggish. The stuff, and some of them might be like crack dealers, some of them might be like crack addicts, all that. But the public that I've been dealing with inside of a car, so it's vastly different. So yeah, so we enter a domain of common sense and logic. Where like by the time he comes in front of the jury and the judge over here, and he goes off and he argues. All I have to tell the judge and the jury is that before they could prosecute me or file the paperwork, that's so simple. While they have my phone number and my email to process me in front of a judge to go off on fraud around the space outside, they decide to go off and like punish me and pass on a rage. Yeah, that's way to harming me in the process, and then help themselves into a conflict of interest, which relates to like a financial system. Yeah, that then relates to like the research and the investigation that they engage into. That's all. So the minute they engage into that research and investigation, that can then be linked into a space that's way to like monetizing it for money, or future research, or psychology, or AI system, or programs that's way to like warfare, or contracts and domains like that. And so on. I always win the case on like two domains. That's way to like an evil intent that should not have been inside the government system against me inside a cause. The first one is the conflict of interest when it comes to like monetary gain, and the second one would be a bias. That's way to a skin color. Yeah, that's way to racism that you're gonna find inside the chat room. And the third one, because I was tell you that you have to remember two things. Racism, it also happens within your own race over here. Yeah, within your own people. Your own people have the groups have their own people that the same skin color as you that hate your kind racially. Yeah, they have their own preference for like white people space as partners and stuff like that. Yeah, so you're gonna find the white girl, or I say you're gonna find the white girl with the black boyfriend that hate black people, or you're gonna find the white boy with the black boyfriend. I mean the black boyfriend that hate black people. And you're gonna find with the black girlfriend that also hate black people. Yeah, and then the third one was the harm. Yeah, they assaulted me with chemicals on the space outside. So they assaulted me with chemicals, the intent to harm the person and inflict pain on the person, and then eventually lick off the person's information with the intent to bully the person psychologically, so the person can kill himself, or the person can go off and commit to a mass shooting, or the person can rage and assault somebody. Yeah, so throughout that space area, I'll be able to argue with that intent itself. Yeah, that if they had the intent to go off and harm somebody, to make the person go off and kill somebody across the space outside, then they had the intent. Yeah, I was like a secondary hand to then go off and like make sure that a child can be harmed in the process. So by the time I rage, I melt down around the space area, I grab a gun, I decide to go off and like kill that 16-year-old girl that I think is stalking me, harassing me around the person over here outside. Yeah, that's the extent to like how dangerous that group could have been around the space outside, because of the fact that they selected to go off and like try to harm somebody around the space to make that person rage, and then eventually pull out a gun and then shoot some random people around the space area. That could have been children. So by the time, yeah, because that's why I've been arguing inside our cause beyond the domain of like, we got this over outside, is the behavior that they engage into, where they like, we don't care about what we're doing around the space outside. So that means you didn't care whether or not you were using my resources and my law to then go off and get somebody else killed that had nothing to do with whatever it was that you were chasing after that led you inside following me around the space outside. Yeah, so not only did you tell me fuck me in my face around outside, but you told somebody else kid to go off and fuck themselves in the process. And then by the time you're done with it, I'm telling you, let's go with the case over here. So I could put that video in front of the jury over here, describing what would be arguing inside a cause. Pussy, you pussied up.